So we are 5 weeks away from NFL Black Monday, and we are already out here firing people and benching different players. First, we heard of the news that offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett has been relieved of his duties, fired, and quarterbacks coach Scott Milanovic will take over as the offensive coordinator and play caller. Then a few hours later, we learned that Blake Bortles has been benched for the rest of the season in favor of quarterback Cody Kessler. So we're going to go into all those news right now. Now, first I'm going to go into the whole Blake Bortles thing, and I'm in favor of this move. Just because Blake Bortles just hasn't been doing anything this year. I mean, he's been holding the Jaguars back. I mean, if you look over his career his stats this year, he's got a 60.4% completion percentage, 2,572 yards passing, 13 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He's a 24-48 as a starter. He's made 73 straight starts, and really just Blake Bortles has, we started out the year like everyone was saying he was consistently inconsistent because the first week he was kind of bad, next week he was really good, next week bad, then good, but like really since the first quarter of the year, he really hasn't registered too many lightning games, and it's just looking like a total failure of an extension. They gave him like a 3-year, $54 million extension, the Jaguars did, and he's due a lot of money, and we're probably going to have to cut this guy and really lose a lot of money in dead cap space. And we're going to bring in Cody Kessler to start, and it's the right move. I mean, you saw Blake Bortles last week against the Buffalo Bills. He was just horrible. I mean, the coaching staff has clearly lost trust in him, and he's lost trust in himself. I mean, he drops back. He's unsure about where he wants to throw it. You saw him double clutch the ball like immediately. His footwork is still terrible. He still has a terrible throw, mechanical throw. I mean, his mechanics are horrible. His mechanics are something that's never been fixed. The guy can't read a defense at all. Anytime he makes a pre-snap adjustment, he just goes, kill, 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 and runs up the middle. He can't read a defense. I mean, he's overthrowing check down guys last game, and it just hasn't been good. The team hasn't been good with Blake Bortles, and it most likely marks the end of the Blake Bortles era. And, the Jaguars play at home to the Colts next week, and really probably to get people to come out to that game, they probably had to pretty much bench him just to give the fans a little bit to look out for, because I believe Blake Bortles has started 73 straight games. So, Jaguars gave him a chance and a half to prove that he could be a good quarterback, a half-decent quarterback, and all the Jaguars needed him to be was just decent, They built the team around the run game and really just allowing him to kind of check down a lot of times. I mean, this year might be his worst season as a Jaguar, and he has his highest completion percentage, and it's just been bad, and it just turns out that he's not a good quarterback, and we're looking to draft the guy. So really benching Blake Bortles gives us the best chance to win. Cody Kessler coming up, we'll see what he has. I do like his energy. I mean, he was even showing energy last week on the sidelines. He's always into the game, so I'm excited to see what Cody Kessler has to offer. Now we'll go to the next guy. Nathaniel Hackett got fired today, and I'm not sure about this one. Now, I wouldn't mind getting rid of Nate Hackett at the end of the year just because, you're probably going to need to overturn a lot of the coaching staff, but I don't think it's fair to Nate Hackett that you don't even give him a chance to really be able to play with Blake Bortles or with Cody Kessler as a starting quarterback, I really would have liked to see, maybe give Nathaniel Hackett like 2 more games this year. And, if he loses the next 2 games, then we can move on to Scott Milanovic for the last 3 games. But, it would have been just interesting to see, okay, if you replace one person, if you replace Blake Bortles with Cody Kessler, how much different does that make your offense look? But now we have a couple different factors that bring in. We now have a new quarterback. We now have a new offense coordinator, a new guy making the play calls. And there's just a lot of different variables in this. And I would have just been interested to see what would have happened if we would have just had Nathaniel Hackett kind of play with Cody Kessler for a few games. And really, Nate Hackett, man, it's been a rough year for him just because the guy hasn't been getting anything. He's had probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL be his quarterback. We've lost the whole entire left side of our line with Cam Robinson going down. Andrew Norwell's now on the IR out for the season. You lost Brandon Linder a few weeks ago. You know, we talk about the left tackle. We've had about 4 or 5 guys start at that position. You've had Leonard Fournette out for most of the year with his whole lingering injury. You had basically all your tight ends get out with injury. You know, with Austin Seferian-Jenkins being that big tight end that we got. You know, he didn't make any impact this year after basically hurting getting a sports hernia in the preseason. He was never 100% even when he was playing this year. O'Shaughnessy, he's been in and out. Niles Paul got injured on that stupid pitch play, whatever. I don't want to talk about that. You know, you lost your Marquise Lee early on in the year. You let Allen Robinson walk. You cut Allen Hurns. I mean, this guy has been given nothing, and he's the first guy that the kind of sword falls on. And, you know, I wouldn't have minded really getting rid of Nate Hackett after the season, but I would have at least like to see him be able to coach Kessler for a couple of games just to see what it was like. I mean, his play calling, sure, it has been suspect, but he's been given nothing, guys. I mean, the offense is abysmal. Really, the only building blocks I feel like we really have on this offense are probably Leonard Fournette and Dede Westbrook. Those are really the only guys. And, you know, he's done some sketchy stuff this year. Obviously, ending off the Eagles game with 25 or 30 straight pass attempts, which was pretty horrible. But Nate Hackett's going to be the fall guy. I would expect more guys to be gone. I really wish... I mean, if I were to call for anyone's head, I would have liked to see Todd Wash get fired because we have talent on the defense. We actually do have talent on the defense. And I would like to see how much different this defense plays if Todd Wash isn't calling plays. You know, I know we're top 5 in a few different categories, but, you know, we're top 5 because offenses don't have to score that much because our offense can't put up that many points. You know, you still have kind of weapons on the defense, and you know, there's been so many misassignments with so many different players this season on the defense. So many players have regressed. No one is playing really above their level that they played last year, with probably the exception of maybe a Marcel Darius, and, you know, Jalen Ramsey is always decent, even though he probably had a better season last year. But, you know, Nate Hackett is the first guy to fall. There's going to be more moves to be made, guys. You know, Todd Wash has got to look out for GM Dave Caldwell. What's going to happen with him? You know, will Tom Coughlin assume full responsibility? I wouldn't fire Doug Marrone just because he led us to the AFC Championship game last year. You know, I don't think it's on him, even though I think some things need to be addressed when it comes to the culture, because we've had so many different things happen to us this year, between fights during the preseason, during the season. You know, all these players go out and get arrested out in London. You had Leonard Fournette, a captain, put his helmet on, run all the way across the field and punch somebody. You know, this is the same Leonard Fournette that got a game suspension for missing a team photo last year. There's just some culture issues that do need to be addressed, but, you know, Nate Hackett is the first gone. It's tough for him, man. He took over. He came to the Jaguars in 2015 as a quarterbacks coach. After Greg Olsen got fired in 2016, he took over the offensive coordinator position. And, you know, whoever we hire as offensive coordinator next, man, we're going to have to do a hell of a sales pitch because we don't have much talent on offense, and Blake Bortles is still our quarterback. You know, we still have Blake Bortles on the roster. So, yeah, we'll see with that, man. Jags are still a dumpster fire, 7 losses in a row. Not much else to say about that, but I'll be excited to see Cody Kessler start at quarterback. See what he has to bring. We'll see how Scott Milanovic is out here calling plays, and it'll be interesting, guys. We have 5 games left in the season. Make it for what it is, man. We still got some football left. Still got some Jaguars football left before we don't get it until next September. But a lot of work needs to be done in the offseason, man. But yeah, with all that said, man, that's all I got. Well, let me know your thoughts of the firing, both benching Blake Bortles and firing Nate Hackett. I know a lot of people are on board with the whole benching Blake Bortles. Even Blake Bortles' biggest supporters, you know, have jumped off the train. So it'll be interesting, man. So, yeah, man, this is UCF Jaguar with JimJag.com, and I'm out.